Hi everybody, welcome back to Military Mindset Podcast. We've been teasing this guest for a few weeks now and we haven't said anything, but the subject that we're talking about today is something that me and Alex have said. It's something that we find it's uncomfortable for us because we can't draw on experience like we used to. So we've got a guest who can hopefully help with their experience. Some of you may know them as Felix, others may know them as Natalya. But what I'm going to do is hand you straight over to Corporal Natalya Platonova, and please introduce yourself. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. So Felix, no one calls me that in the army. I don't think anyone's watched it. A few people, but like it's mostly civilians that know me as Felix. But yeah, it's just Nat or Pav. My friends call me Pav. I don't know why.
We'll go with Pav.
Yeah.
That's cool. Ben, you're responsible for most of my nicknames. We won't get into them.
Swellhead is a good one.
Yeah, okay, we will then.
You could probably. Yeah, I'll give you one guess, but
a big old moving head.
So back to the. We've just jumped all over your introduction there, but so the episode is about women in the forces. So could you just tell us a little bit about kind of where your background came from and when you decided that the army was where you wanted to go?
So I'm originally from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. So that's where I was born. My family are Russian, and then we left when I was 10. We moved to Malta between the ages of 5 and 10. Then I came to England when I was 10, and I got here and I was like this weird nerdy kid, and British kids grow up so fast that I felt like really far behind. I was still like in my Harry Potter cloak reading under the covers, and they were like, I don't know, giving hand jobs behind the bike sheds, and I was like, what the hell is this? What have I come into? And I had these big aspirations. I wanted to be an astronaut, and I had all these big ambitions. And I think when I was living in London, I jumped between work and doing all sorts of jobs, and I was working in this glamorous lifestyle. I was doing event management, and like the company I was working for organised Elton John's wedding. Like we did some really cool stuff. I was in Egypt opening a nightclub. And then one day I sat there and I thought, what's going to piss my mum off? No, I'm kidding. What's going to really I just felt like I wasn't grounded, and I thought this is too good to be true. And I'm in my early 20s. I want some kind of structure and discipline. I want adventure. And I think I saw myself as action woman. I was like, right, I'm going to go out and like beat all these guys and prove myself. And I haven't even been to the gym once at this point. Like I didn't even know what the gym was. So I had these big wild aspirations, and I went on the army website and I saw you can like try before you buy, which is what I thought the reserves were. So I thought, right, I'm going to go join the reserve, see if I like it. And I joined as an officer reservist in London Regiment at the time. I don't know if they still exist, but yeah, I used to go it was like Tuesday night training club. We'd all just go and get pissed. And I was like, this is great. The army's great. And I think with my little kind of dip into the pool of the army, and I really enjoyed it. I thought, do you know what, this is cool. Like as a reservist, I don't think I pushed myself enough, and I when I failed main board, which is our selection for officer selection, I was so keen to join the military that the next day I called up and I said, I'll go as a regular officer, like I don't care. So I did that switch very fast. I stayed in the reserve for like 3-4 years, just kind of working between events. And then as soon as I was like, right, this is it, I'm going to do it, I was 25 years old. So this was 6 years ago. I called up the recruitment officer. I was like, I'm going to go in as a soldier. And I went on selection, and they actually turned me away because they were like, you're so arrogant. And I thought, no, I'm not. It's just because I came straight from officer selection to soldier selection. I was like, right, this is how you do the command task. And they were like,
get your knife hand out.
Yeah, like drop it down a notch. And I was like, oh, okay. So I came back like in a month, and they were like, right, cool. And then I started phase 1 training, and I've never looked back. I just think, to me, it was the most exciting career. I thought being a soldier was just the most, like every film you watch and everything, I was like, this is going to be like me, rolling over a car, brandishing guns, like none of what I've done, by the way. But I just had these wild aspirations. And to be fair, like I've traveled to so many countries and done so many cool things that it's definitely been worth it.
It sounds,
that's why I joined.
a similar story that when you were saying about hitting that kind of age in your life when you thought you need a bit more structure. So as a little bit of background, my last job before I joined the Air Force was I was a DJ in Portugal, and I pretty much had the same thing. I was like, I can't really do this forever.
Yeah.
But because when I was younger, I always wanted to be a pilot, and obviously the glasses hinder my eyes.
I'm so blind.
And so's Alex. Alex normally wears binoculars for glasses, but he's got. But so I called up the careers office and I was like, oh, I really want to be a pilot, but my eyes are not good. And they were like, well, you can't. So what do you want to do? And then I was like, I to be honest, I don't know. I've not really looked into much. And they said, oh, if you want to be a pilot, the next best job is an armourer, which I think translating the army is amotech. Amotech, or it's in the REME, I think, where
REME armourer, we have REME. Yeah.
So, but in the RAF, it also translates to like putting weapons on aircraft and ejector seats and that. So they were like, you'll be in Vegas twice a year, all of this. I was like, yeah, cool, yeah, let's go. And I've still not been to Vegas. So, but it was about the same time, and I was 26 when I joined, and same as you, I've just never looked back, and it's given me so many opportunities, and that's one of the reasons why we do this, is because we're passionate about it, and we've done all right from it. So we want to one or two people to give it a listen and go, do you know what, that's quite good. And to have somebody like yourself who's, again, you've probably, this actually brings nicely onto the next question about what did your friends and family think when you said that you wanted to join the army?
I don't think they believed me, because I'm so naturally such a girly girl. Like, I used to get dressed up to the nines for my work, and I loved it, and I still do that in the army. I can still do it, as soon as I take off my green pajamas, I'm like, I'm still a girl, and I just think they thought I was mental, and I still don't think they know what I do, and sometimes I don't know what I do, but I think because I've always been so kind of adventurous and just I couldn't sit still, that it was kind of the expected path for me. And at first my mum was horrified, but I think she's now so proud of me, and which is really nice. But for a Russian girl to join the military, and I'm the first in my family, it was a big like, whoa, why aren't you a doctor or a lawyer, or But
I think both me and Alex are both the first in our family to join as well.
Well, I'm doing it.
I'm not the first, and my great granddad was in, but I know that a lot of the other men.
That's quite far away, though. You can't draw for inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I was 8 when he died. So, apart from that, I know a lot of men in the family have tried to join the military and not got in. So my dad and my uncle on my mum's side weren't successful. And I've got an uncle in the police, or he's just retired from the police, if that counts. But we
were both turned away first time as well, weren't we? We were both unsuccessful on our first attempt.
Yeah,
exactly.
I walked into my first interview thinking I've just got to sign on the line. Like I had some kind of like film interpretation of joining the military, which is like, I'm going to walk in and they go, oh, yeah, we're really desperate for people. Here's a pair of boots. You start on Wednesday. It's like, yeah, cool, let's go. And the woman absolutely grilled me in the interview, asking me about pound thrust on aircraft and stuff. I was like, pass. Yeah, he was asking me questions about my own life that I couldn't answer because I hadn't dug it out, like what grades I got and stuff. It was all. I left the interview feeling like, okay, I need to actually join. This is a job I've got to apply for, right?
Thanks for coming, but fuck off.
Yeah, pretty much. And she basically laughed at me. She was like, cool, so you've done no prep at all. But it was.
Oh, you can hear that.
Me on though.
Chinook flying over. Proper military podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hope it's not.
It's not sound effects, is it? You've not got a soundboard down
there. It's just me in the background. Hopefully it doesn't land because I don't know that's coming. But yeah.
You, Natalya, you said something in your answer about the first question that I just want to go in on. You said you wanted to beat all the guys, and that's a mentality, that's a mindset thing, isn't it? So it's weird that you had to think I've got to beat all the blokes to get in, because that the first thing that shows is there's like a delineation in your mind between the women and the men and the difficulty that you might face in getting in. Did you think that it would be harder for you?
So that's like my unconscious bias speaking, because I've always had that mindset growing up. And I think because I come from, you know, quite a strict background, it's girls are this and boys are this. And it was massively like, there was a big gap in between us. And I hated that. I was like, nah, I can do everything like the boys can. In fact, I can do it better than the boys can. So in training, I wanted to be at the front, and I was a little nerd. I got best recruit because I was like, I'm never going to give up. I'm going to like go for this. And even when I think I sprained my ankle and I couldn't walk, I was like, no, I will not show weakness. And I literally didn't. I remember one point in training, one of the corporals tied all my shirts together, and I spent probably 3 days ironing them, you know, with the open lockers. And just before the final inspection, he tied all my shirts together. I went outside and I had this little moment where a tear rolled down my eye, and I was like, keep it together. This will not break me. But that's the thing that pissed me off the most, like that, the shirt tying, nothing else fazed me. I was like, this is cool. And when I was in training, I was like, do you know what? It's actually not that hard. Like, I can do this. And I love training the most. I think military training is just so much fun. You're in a little unison, you're with your mates, you're doing it all together. And actually, I really miss it. That's why I keep looking for like courses or to transfer or to go do other things, because I want to go back into that training environment. I love being like shouted at and told to run a mile, and I just think it's great. Like, we're all doing the same thing, and then when you get to regiment, you're kind of like, oh no, like what am I doing now?
We've definitely had that. Like, me and Ben both loved our training, both our first, because we internally commissioned, so we went through Horton together. That was great fun. And then we didn't commission at the same time, but we both went through Cranwell, which was 6 months the same. You know what I mean? It's that you do get into your little environment, your own little bubble, and you go through it together, don't you? And that
it's like a competition as well. You've got other people you're competing against, and I love it. I was like, yes, I'm going to beat all of you, and I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
I was being sexist myself, being like, you know, I have to beat the boys, to think like that, but that's how I used to think. I don't think like that anymore. I think I have to beat everyone now.
Indiscriminate. It's cool.
Women are just as strong as men, and you know, a lot of women I've worked with, in fact, a lot of women I worked with, I can vouch for and say they're a lot stronger than a lot of the guys that I've worked with. So now I'm looking around and I'm looking at the girls beside me, not the guys, and I'm like, holy crap, she's strong. Like, you know, I'm looking at beating her beside me, not the guy next to me. So yeah, it's cool. It's taught me a lot.
Yeah,
100%. We because we've, like Alex said, we've done the training now. People still take the piss at me, like, you join the Air Force and you've basically just been training for the last like 7 years. Productive service. I've done a couple of little bits, but most of it I just try and find training. But it's the same. It is that, like you said, there's the competition element, which I love, and it is because when we internally commission, people are like, what are you doing that for? Why do you want to go back to phase one? I was like, you don't get paid the same amount of money to get told when to wake up and what to do. It's the easy life. I wish my whole life was like that.
Yeah.
Ambition though as well, isn't it? It doesn't matter if you spend your whole time training, like you'll never spend all of your career training, but you're training for something, and you're training, and like, it's positive energy used moving forward, isn't it? So exactly. you're on a training course to develop a new skill, or take a new job on, or take a new role on. Like, that's awesome, because it means that when you finish, you've got another string to your bow, another job that you can do, another exciting facet of the career to explore. Like, that's 100%. That's a good thing.
A student of life. That's how you put it
life.
That way.
Yeah.
But like a student of the job you're in, like, and that's it. And on these courses, you meet people. Like, my roommate was in the Bosnian Air Force, and you meet all of the different tri-service courses that you can do, and it really is. But again, and this feeds nicely into this episode, is you meet people from all walks of life, and there's no like male only courses or female only courses. It's you just put your name down. When all of the stuff happened on the news about the gender pay gap, I was looking at it like, I don't understand. What do you mean that they can pay you differently because you're a different gender? And then
that's mad, isn't it?
Because the military is so pay and everything so transparent, you could just Google and find out what anybody earns. But you earn that whether, it doesn't matter what's going on. Everybody earns the same. And I think that is definitely a good step in the right direction. But like we had a little discussion before, there's definitely more that still needs to happen. I think bringing parity in all the roles that you can apply for is another step in the right direction. And even like, so you've been in now 6 years, me and Alex a little bit longer, but there's even been a change in that time. And I think we're going in the right direction. But not something that me and Alex can talk about, but you can talk about is there, you may have still met barriers along the way on your journey.
Yeah, so there's a big part of me that's looking at the infantry and it's going, it's open and I can do it now, yeah. But I'll tell you why I do it. It would still be a big part of me doing it because I'd want to prove a point. It's not that it's the best career choice for me or it will set me up for life, because it probably isn't. I could go and specialize in a trade or continue in the stream that I'm in. Like, the biggest part of me that wants to join the infantry is to go, ha, I can do it. I can prove a point. And that's what I'm internally struggling with now. Like, I'm 30 years old. No, I'm 31, sorry. And it's like, do I still keep, running off that adrenaline thinking, yeah, I can do this, I can do that, I've proven it. I just need to kind of feel settled in myself. And of course, I still feel a massive gender disbalance within the military because I work with so many guys. And I think some of the comments that they say, they wash over me now, but it's only when I walk away from it, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of sexist bullshit that just came out of your mouth, and I've just been sat there listening to it. And they forget, because I worked with guys for like the last 4 years, I was the only woman in the office, and I think they saw me as one of the guys, and the stuff that they'd say, I'd sit there and think, oh my god, I'm horrified. But by the 4th year I was like, meh. And I don't want to become passive to it, and I found myself becoming lazy with it. And then when it was my last week at my last posting before I came here, I got so gobby. I was like, right, you fuck, because I knew I was leaving. I was like, it doesn't matter, my reputation is gonna be ruined. I was like, you cannot speak like that, it's actually disgraceful. And they were like, do you know what they said to me? That you're not even fit enough to have an opinion on this topic. And I was like, it doesn't matter what I look like to have an opinion on the stuff that you're saying about women, but I will speak because it actually pisses me off. And I said what I said and then I left. I don't think it made any difference. They're probably still sat there like picking their noses, and but it's not just guys, of course women do it as well, but I'm just talking from my experience.
Something that you
male dominated environment.
Something that you said there, you said that they like saw me as one of the lads, and even that sentence, as it winds me up, because it's always been like, oh, we this is the people, this is our section, and we've got a couple of girls, but don't worry, they're just like one of the lads. Because but why should you have to conform to, like you say, just get used to that way? Why should it be that way? Why can't it be, this is the section, and then individually this is what everybody brings to the party, rather than you just have to become one of the lads to fit in? It shouldn't really be that way.
And when you start really thinking about it, you're like, a lot of the stuff we say is so wrong, but it's just internalized, isn't it? Now it's unconsciously, we say it out loud. And sometimes I use the word, oh, that's so gay, and I don't mean to say it because I have lots of gay mates, but it's army chat that carried on. When I was on the circle, I was told off. They're like, don't say certain words, and I'm like, oh, I'm not, I'm such a squaddy, I need to be careful with some of the language that I use, but I don't mean it. But then you can also think, yeah, me being one of the lads is me saying that about the situation is also taking us females back a step, because we shouldn't have to be one of the lads to fit in. It should be, exactly. Why can't you be one of the girls?
Yeah.
Why can't you all be
one
like
of the team?
One of the team, yeah. That's
yeah.
Well, it was actually one of the army phrases is, so when I was watching the circle, when you came in, I said to my wife, I'll nail this one. I would get this. Like, we always used to play almost like, what would you? And then it said, oh, you're going to be this para. I was like, I'll get this. And it was like the first day you messaged saying, I'm just in my room doing some fierce. And I went, yeah, that's it. I'd buy it. I'd be like, yeah, they're real. Just because of that one word. But I know what you mean. A lot of it, we actually, weirdly, I was on YouTube looking at people talking about the RAF fitness test, and somebody posted a video that was wrong and giving people the wrong advice. So I sent this person a message and just said, just to let you know, this is actually the standards. Let me know if you want to chat. And me and Alex actually had a was a Zoom or Teams, whatever. We met with the guy for probably an hour, wasn't it?
He got into it.
Yeah, he wanted to join the Air Force, but his fears were that he was gay and army banter is what it said, wasn't it? He was worried that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, we spoke to him for ages, and in the end, I think he took a lot from it. And like we said, nobody cares, but somebody might say something like, "Oh, that's gay," but that doesn't mean something. And I think
he's just not thinking about what he's saying.
Yeah, change is coming, but
which isn't an excuse, but
no.
At least it's not.
If it's not derogatory, then not that that's okay to say that, but sometimes things come out and it doesn't, and that's what we kind of said to
I think we all need to start thinking about what we say a lot more, because I'll say a throwaway comment and it's, you know, it's about everything I'm trying to campaign for, and you just have to be very careful. And I know that sometimes people will be like, well, that's such a boring way to live, but it's not. You know, when the BLM movement happened and a lot of stuff have progressed, and it's about us looking internally and going, how can I help the situation? What can I do? Like, when I applied to go on the circle, I don't think I would have been allowed to go by the military if they believed in me, if this makes sense, because the reactions from my hierarchy were, you're going to play a para bloke, you'll get called out straight away. So they don't actually believe in me, and that's why I think they were so, you know, they let me go and they didn't really maybe take into account the consequences that I could potentially win. So because they literally thought, right, you're going to play a bloke, you have no chance, you're just a remp, you know, all these little comments. And I didn't have any the sad part of the whole experience was I had no self-belief. You know, a lot of the people going onto that show would have had their friends and their mates like patting them on the back, being like, good luck, you've got this. I just had a whole lot of doubt in myself, and I didn't even believe in my own game when I was on it. It was like, I think I wish I had that kind of internal confidence that would have probably shown through a lot more, but I still struggle with it now. I put on a brave face and I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, I've got this, but inside I'm like, I feel really uncomfortable.
We talk a lot about that in a few of our other ones. It's fairly common. But sorry, I was interrupting you, go on.
No, that's it. I mean, that was one of the big things. That was one of the biggies. I wish I had like a pat on the back, like, you've got this, you're amazing. But it was like, whatever.
How have they been now?
I think no one cares. I think they're happy. I think it's cool because I've tried to use my social media to promote, you know, females in the military. So I think they're worried that I'd be, maybe I think someone in the military would have been worried that I'd been like modeling camo bikinis, but I haven't gone down that route. I've stayed grounded and I've stayed, you know, quite discreet with the stuff that I'm posting. So
I think that's good.
It is a bit mad as well. It's made me really kind of careful with what I talk about now, and I've never had that self-awareness before. It does drive you a bit insane, but it actually helps you to grow and it helps you be really mindful of the stuff that you are publishing or putting out there, because people could look at it and go, oh, wow, Natalya likes getting drunk every Thursday night, that's so cool, maybe we should all do it. But I'm careful not to, like, I've become like a saint.
You're a role model.
Trying to be.
Have you had like quite somebody senior or people high up from like army media come and speak to you during the process?
It's been really positive after the process. Like, the army interviewed me, I took over their Instagram yesterday, I was published on their website. I've had lots of seniors email me privately saying, you know, congratulations, and it's just been quite a nice response. I think obviously there'll be people that would have had their backs up with me doing it, but I ignore those. I don't look at that, and you know, my inbox is full of positivity, and hopefully I can move on and do some good stuff with it. I don't know what yet, but yeah, it's been really positive. And I think people were a bit scared, like, what's the circle, is it Love Island, what is it, like, what is it? People didn't understand it, and once they watched it they were like, oh, okay, it's pretty harmless, you know. So yeah.
You said about taking over the army's Instagram yesterday. I saw you put a story up about some of the more negative things that you were receiving.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because there was a lot of really good questions and there was a lot of like positivity with it, and you know, people were asking good stuff, but amongst it all, and it was all military blokes and a few military women, you could just see they were so just, there wasn't even questions, they were just there to troll. And I'm sure anyone that does an Instagram takeover will have it. But I mean, I'm 31 years old. I've got maybe a bit thicker skin to perhaps if they got an 18-year-old soldier doing it, I think maybe they'd look at some of those comments really offended. And I just think the fact that I spoke on my socials, I actually called out some of the trolls privately as well, and they apologized. So once you call them out and say something, it makes them a bit more mindful of their own actions. So I think, yeah, hopefully next time someone does that, they'll be, I don't know if it was the right audience as well, because the kind of people that look at the British Army Instagram are also military. But I hope I helped, because I had lots of positive messages in my inbox from women being like, you've inspired me to do this and you've inspired me to join up. So it's been good. But it's, for one bad comment for every 10 good ones, you do focus on the bad ones, and I'm trying to stop doing that. But I was a little bit in my feelings yesterday.
We've got a couple of good episodes on that kind of thing if you want to listen back.
Yeah,
because we talk a lot about that, actually, about the one you can go to a party and 9 people say you look amazing, one person says something, and that's what sticks.
That's that will stick in your head.
Yeah. You looked like you were going to say something, Alex.
Yeah, it's good just being face. No, so like you've just mentioned something there with when you did your take of it. First, I think you've already had a positive effect. Like if you're getting positive messages of inspiring people, job well done. Do you know what I mean? And you're right, an audience for a military-driven Instagram is going to be military-driven people. So I work closely with media and comms at the moment, and firstly the rule that we've always worked with is don't poke the troll. Don't. If you get something, don't react to it. But the fact you've managed to call them out is really cool. It reminded me of a little story.
Privately, I privately messaged 2 of them that were women, actually, and I was like, what do you mean? And they instantly backed away, and I think it crossed wires as well. And people can sometimes take what you say. See, I was showing how cool my room was, how good the military is, and maybe some people get a little bit upset because their experience isn't the same. And it's sometimes nice to have those conversations, but if someone was outright disgustingly rude, you only feed them by talking to them, because that's what they want. They want you to react and be bothered. So yeah, no, I don't speak to those trolls.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And it sounds like it went really well. If you can focus on the good stuff, that's wicked. It means you've had a
it's been the most overwhelming positive response I've had ever on my socials, even more so than the circle. And it's just, I never talk to Instagram. I get really shy, so I always do like fun videos. But I was really quite in my feels yesterday in my car filming it, and the response was amazing. Like people were just, we got this, and all the girls kind of unified, and guys the same. They were like, you've got more balls than me, and I'm a man. And I'm like, bless you. So yeah, it was good. I'm glad I did it.
I think there's like military banters there, and it's almost it's like a family. It's easy to attack like a brother or sister, like have a little joke with them. Sometimes it can go too far. But where I think you will have and have gained a lot of respect, certainly for myself in the military crowd, is like you said about before, and you've been very from after the circle said that you're not leaving your job. Your job is the army, and you love the job, and you're staying there. And I think that's really respectable. And that to me shows, if I was somebody looking outside, looking in, to say, well, I mean, being on TV can open all sorts of doors, and you can be advertising all sorts of teeth whiteners and all that kind of stuff, and there's money in that. But
what are you trying to say?
It's me. I was basically, can you get me a discount? That's what I'm trying to say.
I'll send it your way.
But to say that you're going to stick with your job says, okay, then to have all this opportunity and still the army is the biggest pool, I think is that's really, really respectable. And I think that's where
I absolutely love my career. I think the army is the most diverse and cool career you can ever go into. You can be who you want. This is what I keep saying to people. It's essentially, you join the military and you want to be a medic. Yes, you can. You want to be a police officer. You want to be an engineer. You want to be, I don't know, think of it, and you can do it in the military. And it's mad that you can also move around jobs and you can move postings. And I'm quite mad in the sense that I love the adventure and the excitement of it all. And this completely satisfied. But also, if you want to stay still, I think there's things in place where they can keep you if you have family and you want to settle down. So I just think, yeah, I've got nothing to leave it for. And also the reality of reality TV is it's not what it looks like. I mean, there might be more opportunities, but they're not a lifelong career. It's my career is the military, and that's what looks after me. So yeah, I won't be leaving it anytime soon.
Just bring it back to the circle then. Why did you decide to go in as Felix?
I just think, do you know what? You know when people ask you these stupid questions like, oh, if you were a girl for a day, what would you do?
Yeah.
I just think I also feel like I thought it'd be a very cool, it'd be like a powerful message to show that behind this kind of perfect character that I've created, the driving force would be the woman, like the brains behind the brawn. So I wanted to prove a point that as me, I think people would be asking me, if I went in as myself, they'd be like, oh, you're military, how did you do that? Why did you do that? As Felix, people were like, yeah, standard, you're a squatty bloke, no questions asked. And I thought I'd have a stronger gameplay because, again, the gender stereotypes, you would expect a man to be in the military, you wouldn't expect a female to be in the military. Maybe yes now, but still, as a whole, it's still not what you think of when you think of typical female jobs, which is unfortunate, and which I hope to change that in a tiny little way. But I just thought it'd be cool to show, yeah, that I can do it just as good as this man can. In fact, I did it better. I think I, mixed with what people would look at as a respectful career, because I think people respected the fact that Felix was a soldier, and I think that got him quite far in the game as well. Mixed with the fact that I had my kind of softness behind the character, my emotional side as well. I think that was kind of the winning formula towards the end. And yeah, it was a cool psychological experiment, and it worked. Don't be yourself, guys. It wins.
You want to win. What do you think there was any how much of your army training or army experience did you have to draw on? Because what I like about the circle is it is a game, and that's what, but I can see how easy it would be to get sucked into the relationships and all of that stuff. But did you sometimes have to step back and be like, right, I'm playing the game? I could see that some things were getting to you and you were finding some decisions to, and again, I've only seen what's shown on the TV, but did you have to step back?
Of course you did. I became him in the end, and I became this man. and it actually started to suck at the end, because I was like, they're not going to like me when they meet me. And I am quite proud of what I do and who I am, and I started to doubt my own existence. It was quite weird, and even after I left it, I was like, it was weird trying to get back to myself. I'm still kind of a little bit like, who am I? But I think we all are as humans. We're like, what's my point? What am I doing? And it's even more so now. And do I think life would be easier if I was born as a bloke? I can't say yes or no to that, but I think my career in the military might have been slightly easier, in the sense that when I joined up, I could have gone in to be in the paras, because when I joined in 2015, women couldn't. So yeah, I'd have a completely different life. But I think now, in this day and age, I'm glad to be a woman in the military, and I think it's powerful. I think it's cool. I think it's, I just think it's everything that I ever dreamed of and more. And I can go on to do whatever I want. And, playing Felix on the show made me realize that, I am the same, if not better than that bloke that I imagined to be. He was a completely made up character, by the way. I didn't know the person, so.
How did you get the pictures? I wondered if you knew.
Oh no, it's just someone on social media.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I suppose, like when you're looking back at it, the pictures may be something, but it was the personality felt very much like you, and I think that's probably one of the. I'm not going to go like deep into the circle, because like even Alex here hasn't watched it, but one of the biggest relationships you built seems like it was you coming across, but to the person receiving it, I'm talking about the Manrika thing, is like there was times when she was like, oh, this is exactly what I'd love any guy to say, but it's probably because you were yourself talking to how
Yeah.
So it's your personality, wasn't it? But then I suppose it is,
was,
that's the whole thing about the world of catfish, isn't it? It must.
I need to watch this program, man. It sounds nuts.
It is nuts.
I've just today finished watching the American one on Netflix as well.
I need to watch that.
Yeah, I think it's the same. They must have filmed it about the same time because the departments are all the
I
same.
think straight after ours. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get back to women in the military because I can go off on a tangent here.
You like your TV, Ben, don't you?
That's like my chill in the evening. Finish work and just have it. Do you know what it was? My son is 19 months now, and when he was born, the series previous to yours, series 2 was on, so that was just like our time to baby's asleep. Let's just lay in bed and watch The Circle, and it just became like a thing.
Cute is Tim, by the way?
The old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had much contact when they?
Yeah. I did one of his YouTube series, and we speak now and then. He's such a cool guy.
Yeah, that was a good series.
And Brooke was cool, and Beth. Actually, they were all really cool. Yeah, and they do actually. Brooke and Beth do. Yeah, let's stop talking about this. Well, Brooke and Beth do a podcast as well, and it's very funny.
Well, the question I was going to ask, I think, was so we've spoken about some of the barriers that you've met, but overall, how equal and accessible do you think the military is for women?
I think it's exactly the same. It's very equal. I think you even have more opportunity now as a woman because you will stand out if you go for some of these roles. And I think people are like, oh no, they'll make it harder for girls. I don't think so. I think you might stand out as a woman going for these predominantly male dominated job roles. So I actually think it's the best employer for women going. I can be and do what I want in the army.
So if you were to do anything other than R&P, what sort of role would you like to go for?
So the thing that kind of sticks out for me at the minute and that I've always been slightly interested in is adult nursing or mental health nursing. You get a full-on degree from it and you get your wages on top of it. And you get to do a very fulfilling and helpful role. And yeah, I think that'd be like, if it wasn't for the R&P, that'd be the job I'd go into.
Like helping people, then obviously that's your thing.
I'm really soft. I'm really empathetic. So I've just finished doing my prison mentoring volunteer scheme. So I've just done that over lockdown, and I thought I'm so soft and I love giving, and I get really emotional about a lot of things, and I just thought, what can I do? Right, help ex-prisoners kind of turn their life around, and to me that really struck a chord. Yeah, I would like in the future I'd love to work for the UN and do humanitarian missions. That's like the dream.
I think giving back is really important.
Yeah.
Me and Alex are in the process of starting a mentorship. So I work in Northwest London, and would like to go into schools and colleges and give these kind of talks, and in areas it kind of came about because where I grew up and where I went to school, our armed forces careers day was a couple of army cadets from the year above marching us around the tennis court for 20 minutes, and that was like, and that's the army, and that's it. So we never had, and Alex I think has a similar story of his career. So we kind of were like, how can we give back? And this area is such a ethnically diverse area, and I feel like sometimes these areas get forgotten about. So just to give back and go into these schools and say, I've come from this and I now do this. This is not a recruitment drive. This is you can be whatever you want to be.
That's really cool. Would you do that on the side, or would you do that within the area?
That's kind of the not hurdle, but the point we're at is because we're in the
RAF, help us get it off the ground, couldn't we?
Yeah, we kind of. I'd love it to be its own entity and like my stamp on the world, but whether the RAF will want to be a part of it or we'll see. It's in its infancy stages, and I think that's a bridge that we'll have to cross. But regardless of the answer to that question, I'm still going to push ahead and.
Can I come to one of the schools?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. You can come and do a tour.
Part of the plan is to have a list of decent ambassadors to call on. Like it's really important that we have that, because it's all about showing different characters and backgrounds and stuff and different levels of achievement and what they've decided to do with their life. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the message, is that my sort of background. Ben's mentioned his started in a beef. I was working in Costa when I joined the military at 21, and I'd not held down a job for more than 6 months before that, up to the age of 21, which is mad. Do you know what I mean? I'd had no sort of structure or foundation or realistically much prospect in my own mind of what I was going to do in the future. So it was, when I joined the military, that's what it gave me, was this structure, and it switched my mindset around into achieving stuff, and it really provided me that kind of, oh, I can do this now, and I'm going to see how far I can go, and that's led me all sorts of places into where I am now. So like from internally commissioning and finding these different roles. So it's been fantastic, and that's what gave me that switch, was joining the military. But if we can give people that switch, that little nudge in the right direction, that's what we want to do.
Breaking the chain. It's that question of, if you could speak to a younger version of yourself, what would you say?
Yeah.
And that's what I'd love to do, because somebody like me that's come from a relatively humble upbringings to get, even when I joined the Air Force, the idea of commissioning was nowhere near my radar, because I was like, that I'm nowhere near, like, that's not, I expected it to be like a old boys club and you have to come from certain schools and to get to, but if somebody had said that to me when I was younger, like, you can still do that, like, and I think this is again about how accessible the military is when I got to Cromwell officer training, I was speaking to people with like broad Brummie accents. I'm like, wow, you can get, like, I was faking my accent to get here and all of this, and but then it made me feel good that the tide is changing and it's becoming fully inclusive. And regardless of how you speak or what you look like, if you can do the job, then fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Fuck it, let's go.
I'll get that tattooed. for like careers talks. And to finish, here's my tattoo. Fuck it, let's go.
Where is that tattoo, Ben? You're going to get on your webpage? I
don't know why. I think it's going to be here.
Oh, right.
I don't know why. I've got... And to end... Oh yeah, sometimes I forget this is a podcast and not everyone will be able to see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What so this is, like we've said, this is a conversation that me and Alex drawing on your experience. And we've had people messaging us asking about tips for joining the Air Force and tips for joining the military and tips for motivation and all of that kind of stuff that we've touched on. But from you as a woman in your position, what is a top tip to women thinking about joining the forces?
Stop thinking about it and just do it. I was so
fuck it, just do it. There we go.
Yeah, just do it. I think go in with an open mind. Do not be gobby. Do not be too commandeering on the command tasks. Just be chilled out about the process and read up about it. And also, like, the physical training is so different now. It's less about thrashing yourself and it's more about mobility and having, just good bone structure in the sense that you can hold yourself up. So when I was training for them, I love running, so I used to just put my earphones in and just go for a run, and I loved it. And I still think that's quite important to do. So go for a run, do some yoga, meditate, chill out, read up on the facts, and off you go. I think it's quite a relaxed process in the sense that there's a lot of gaps between this and this. It's not like you said, you don't just walk in and get handed your army gear and off you start. There's a lot of time in between to process it, to understand it. And yeah, just I would start as soon as you want to do it, because it can be quite a long process. So as soon as you have that little thought, go for it.
Yeah, we found the same at the time. And like you mentioned at the start about when you decided that was what you wanted to do, you'd never even really stepped into a gym.
Yeah.
Like the first physical test for the RAF is the 1.5 mile run on a treadmill. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll go to the gym and I'll run on a treadmill. And I was like hanging off the back, like shit. But then I had so much time to work on it that because, and again, it's the same thing. I was naive to how long it would actually take from when I walked into the careers office to when I actually started it, I think it was over a year in the end of hard work. But having that was kind of the first time when I thought, this is good because it's given me a goal, and I'm kind of at the moment floating around life wherever the wind takes me, and it gave the first piece of structure. And then me and Alex met, and the rest is rest is history. We're now two bald bearded guys.
Yeah, we did that to each other.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are worried about joining up because they're like, I'm not strong enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not this enough. You don't need to be all those things when you join up. I think you just have to have the right mindset of, I want to do this, and then you can make yourself that person, and you have the time to do it. And that's my biggest bit of advice, is as soon as you want to do it, go for it, because you'll have the time to change it all around as the process goes on. So, and also if you fail, you can come back again, like I did that. I failed and I came back. So
when in terms of the current, because I know the army's just changed all the fitness test stuff, isn't it? It's more like a functional test, is that right?
I'm not 100% certain, so I don't want to say. It's completely different now. It's it used to be a mile and a half. Now I think it's a 2K run and pull-ups. I don't want to say because I'm not 100% sure, but it's on the website. That's the first place to find this on the website.
That's again, because that's like what we find with this is because we're not anyway linked to the RAF careers. It sometimes is an easier place for people to send a message, because even though
messages.
We've had some of questions, because I think, because even with me, when I would have questions when I was joining, I used to try and find people that were also joining on Twitter, because I was worried that every time I called the careers office, it'd put like a little mark on my name, like, or asks too many questions, or doesn't know this, and you're paranoid about everything. So that's how we've got, I think what we offer is people, and again, regardless of when people message us, if people don't know anything about the military, we're just two guys. Like, you don't know anything, because I remember used to phone up the careers office and worried, like, what do I call people? Didn't know anything about ranks, didn't know anything about any of that. So just be like, hello, and it's, I think it's quite a nice, if you don't know anything about it, nice to ask someone that's approachable and you don't feel like it's going to jump down your neck.
But people want to know like the actual job, when you start a new job, you don't want to speak to the boss, you want to speak to the guy that works on the floor, and you want to know the actual, like, what actually goes on. Like, I had questions on the Army Insta like about periods, and people don't want to talk about periods, but that was the last story I ended off on. Like, if you have your period, you're cool, you're fine, you get taught all this in phase 1. And so many questions of like, can you wear makeup, can you have this, can you do this, and just the stuff like, people would want to know the ins and outs of a job, like, where do you live, how does it work, do you have time to see your friends? It's not all about the training, it's more the kind of, how do you live as a human,
That's where all my questions came from. Like, that's what they're all based on, is like, how do you actually...
You wear makeup? Well...
No, yeah.
Your head is looking very shiny, Alex. You might need a bit of powder on that.
What, this?
Yeah, it's gleaming with these sunglasses on.
I'm polishing, mate. I'll bullet. No, it's but those are my concerns. Like, what's my lifestyle going to be like? How often can I do the things that I enjoy, or what's it like? Are they going to whisk me away and I'll never see my family? Like, what's actually going to be the line here? And those were the questions that, like you say, the AFCO is not really designed to answer, because it almost feels like whatever answer they give you might be preloaded or a bit biased.
Yeah. I still get that question, like through mates at home and stuff, like, oh, what's it like? I'm like, it's just a job. Like, I go to work, I come home, and I do the same as everybody
Friday
else.
Afternoons off though.
I miss those days. I don't get that anymore.
Well, you got shift work. You get decent time off. Normally.
I can't complain about shift work, but yeah, Friday afternoons used to be, when I joined this job, and it was like, oh yeah, and you do this. I was like, sorry, what, Friday afternoon? No one's going to be in the office. Why am I here?
Yeah.
And they don't do bacon sandwiches on Friday mornings, which is something else I miss.
You get bacon sandwiches?
Well, I used to have to buy them, but that was something that we did back in the day. as an armourer.
That's a dream.
It's just my place.
Bacon butty run.
Yeah.
You should bring it in, Ben. That's a OJAR moment, mate.
Yeah.
Shift bacon sandwiches.
Change. Yeah. What have you brought to the section? I've made everybody put weight on and become unhealthy.
I've got a business card for the local butty shop.
There's a lot around here. Natalya, so I've put a question here. It's because, and it goes a lot with what we're speaking about. And I sent you a message as well. I had some people here talking about you and how the kind of you're changing the role model of what it is to be a woman in the forces. And you are definitely opening a career path to people that may not have seen it. Do you feel a lot of pressure with that, or are you quite happy? And when I say, like, you've very much always been like, I'm in the army and I can still be a girly girl. Whereas I think a lot of people have got this impression that you join the army or join the forces and that just goes out the window.
No, so I don't think what you look like, how you look shouldn't depend how well you do the job. And that's I'm a big connoisseur for that. You shouldn't have to strip away your identity because you're in the military. Yes, you have to be pared down at work and professional, that's fine. But in your own time, do what the hell you want. Like, no one's going to stop you. And I just want to bring to light that your impression of what females are like in the military isn't completely what you think it is. And we are like a bag of different things, and everyone's so unique and individual. We don't all look the same. And that's what's wonderful about it. You don't have to fit a certain mold to join it. And I think to join a job, I think you have to look at someone that's a little bit similar to you, and then you feel a bit safe about going in. So if I could be that for at least one girl and they go, oh, I'm a little bit like her, she's a bit of a dozy bitch with floaty dresses, I like doing that. But I also want a cool career in the military, and they might go, oh, okay, she does it, so maybe I can do it. So, I mean, when I was joining up, what did I see? I think I saw when was it, 2015? I don't remember who I saw. I think there was lots of press around what was on back then. There was a TV show, but when I was in, I remember Our Girl was on, and I used to think a lot of girls are probably watching this and thinking, yeah, Michelle Keegan, relatable, I could do that. So it's about attracting the right person as well. It's not just any girly girl wants to be in the military. It's knowing that you can have your own identity and also be good at a job. It doesn't matter what you look like. We're not a mold. We're not like robots that are all coming out of a factory, all done to the same standards. We're all completely different. And it's in the military that I've met the most amount of diverse characters I've ever met in my life. So yeah, I think people even I used to stereotype us whilst I was in. I've stopped doing that, but people do stereotype what the typical soldier looks like, and I actually did that for the circle. I used what a stereotypical soldier is to a lot of people. So it's cool to show that we're all different, I think. So yeah,
it's not necessarily the man though. The soldier is the job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because to function as a soldier, you have to be trained to a standard, don't you? Or to any career. That's what the assessment should be. It's not about your character. It should be about, can this person, regardless of any kind of discerning characteristics, perform this role?
Yeah.
And if they can perform that role, then we'll train them in that role. What they are outside of that role is their decision.
Yeah, and the military doesn't take away my individuality. It allows me to be who I want to be. It doesn't ever, punish me for looking a certain way or doing anything. Like, none of that exists in this world, and I'm free. Like, I've got freaking flowers, hippie beads everywhere. Like, I dress my room up to how I want it to look. I feel like I'm at uni sometimes, in your little dorm rooms. It's cool. I love it.
I think that's a great place to end, because that is it, isn't it? That encompasses everything that we've been speaking about. Is regardless of what preconceptions you have regarding gender, you can be whoever you want to be in the armed forces, and you're a great example of you don't have to fit what people think is a mold, and you can still have a great career and travel. And I mean, I'm sure and like you said, your future is in the army, and I'm sure you've got a great future ahead of you. Thank you so much for coming in and spending an hour of your time waffling on to us. But
I just think it's so important to talk about these things, and I think this is the stuff I want to be talking about. And thank you guys.
No, thank you.